Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into one of the most complex and honestly heartbreaking intersections of our modern era. We're looking at the profound impact of artificial intelligence on kids living in war zones. We're exploring a real double-edged sword here. On the agenda today, first, children in the crosshairs. Second, AI as a lifeline. Third, the dark side of AI. And finally, protecting the most vulnerable. Now, before we even mention the word technology, we absolutely have to ground ourselves in the sheer human stakes. Just look at this number, 32,990. According to the 2024 UN annual report, that is the number of grave violations against children recorded in just one single year. That's a 35% jump from the year before. We're talking about the most vulnerable members of our human family getting caught right in the crossfire of adult conflicts. To really make sense of how technology is completely shifting this grim landscape, we're pulling our insights directly from Dr. Laura Guercio's extensive research in the Routledge Handbook. Specifically, her work on AI and international humanitarian law gives us a crucial lens to understand how these conflict dynamics are radically changing. So, let's start with Section 1, Children in the Crosshairs. We need to understand exactly why youth are so uniquely vulnerable in these war-torn environments. The big takeaway here is that children aren't just small adults, right? Because their minds and emotions are developing so rapidly, they're highly susceptible to AI's influence. Even in peacetime, being left out of tech development poses real risks for kids. But in a war, those vulnerabilities are dangerously magnified. In 2023 alone, the UN reported 5,301 children killed and another 6,348 maimed. Think about that. When you drop advanced AI into a chaotic environment where thousands of kids are already facing physical harm, the potential for manipulation and injury just skyrockets. But hey, technology isn't inherently bad. In fact, there's a fascinating counter-narrative happening right now. Moving to Section 2, AI as a lifeline. We're actually seeing humanitarian tech being used for the most vulnerable. It's truly amazing to see how this moves from theory to on-the-ground action. Humanitarian groups are deploying machine learning to do some absolutely incredible things. Imagine an algorithm predicting a disease outbreak in a crowded refugee camp before it even has the chance to spread. Or autonomous drones mapping out dangerous minefields so kids can walk safely. They're even using facial recognition to reunite displaced families, and natural language processing to analyze speech patterns in traumatized youth to detect early signs of PTSD. I mean, AI is actively saving lives and minds right this very second. A brilliant, tangible example of this is the Can't Wait to Learn program. It started out as a pilot project in Sudan. With something like 75 million children worldwide facing education disruptions due to conflict, this program stepped up in a big way. First, they deployed solar-powered charging stations. Then, they handed out tablets loaded with a custom, serious gaming platform. This lets kids who can't safely make it to a physical school learn reading and math at their own pace. And the real-world impact? The data from Sudan is just staggering. Children using this AI-assisted, game-based learning didn't just keep up, they totally thrived. We're talking nearly double the progress in math and almost triple the progress in reading compared to traditional alternative methods. They literally learned at twice the rate of their peers. Plus, it gave them a much-needed sense of normalcy, which is absolutely vital for their mental well-being in a war zone. What makes this even more of a game-changer is the economics of the whole thing. Initially, delivering this tech-heavy education cost about $400 per child. But thanks to innovations, specifically those solar-powered charging stations, the cost plummeted all the way down to just $30 per child annually. $30! That transforms it into a highly scalable, sustainable lifeline. Okay, but we have to pivot here, because this is exactly where we hit a terrifying paradox. The exact same underlying machine learning technology powering those educational tablets and medical diagnostics, yeah, it's simultaneously being weaponized. It's the ultimate double-edged sword. Which brings us to Section 3, the dark side of AI. Here we look at weaponization and exploitation, and the tone really shifts from hopeful innovation to serious, urgent peril. We have to talk about autonomous weapons. AI technologies are actively being used to create systems capable of making lethal targeting decisions, literally choosing who lives and who dies, without any human intervention whatsoever. When you strip human judgment and empathy out of a weapon system and deploy it in a conflict zone full of kids, the risk of unintended escalation and horrific civilian casualties is just immense. But the physical threat of these weapons is only one layer of the onion. AI enables cyber warfare that can completely shut down critical infrastructure. Imagine cutting off power to a pediatric hospital or a school. And beyond the physical, there's the psychological burden. Think about the deep, constant anxiety a child feels living under 24/7 AI-driven drone surveillance. On top of that, there is a massive accountability void. If an AI makes a mistake that harms a child, who exactly is to blame? And perhaps most sinister of all, malicious armed groups are actively using machine learning to scour social media, build detailed psychological profiles of vulnerable youth, and target them with personalized algorithmic manipulation to recruit them as child soldiers. It gets worse, too, because AI can be used to distort the truth itself. We're seeing a rise in AI-manipulated images, deepfakes, depicting children in war zones. Not only does this violently exploit a child's dignity, but it actively hinders justice. I mean, if an image can be faked, it casts a shadow of doubt on real evidence. This severely complicates the International Criminal Court's efforts to actually investigate and prosecute legitimate war crimes against children. So what do? How do we defend against this? That leads us to our final section, Section 4, Protecting the Most Vulnerable. We urgently need to look at our legal frameworks. Everything we do in this space has to be grounded in the UN's cornerstone principle, the best interests of the child. This rule mandates that in absolutely all decisions affecting children, their well-being, their development, and their rights must be the primary consideration. It's our ultimate ethical North Star. Now, we do have some principles in place. We have the foundational do no harm principle. We also have traditional international humanitarian law, or IHL, which relies on distinction, proportionality, and precaution. And legally, we are seeing some fresh steps, like the EU's Artificial Intelligence Act passed in March 2024, which explicitly prohibits AI systems from exploiting age-related vulnerabilities. We also have frameworks like the GDPR. But, as we all know, having laws on paper is one thing, actually enforcing them is a whole different ballgame. Because, as Dr. Guercio's research rightly points out, context is everything here. Think about it for a second. If enforcing complex data protection is difficult in highly regulated, peaceful, stable countries, it is practically impossible in the absolute chaos of an armed conflict. In a war zone, the rule of law is inherently weak. That leaves children utterly exposed to the misuse of their personal data and algorithmic exploitation. Our current legal frameworks, they're robust in spirit, sure, but they are really showing their age. As this quote highlights, these frameworks were established way before the advent of AI, sophisticated drones, and cyber warfare. Applying older principles becomes incredibly muddy when an autonomous AI makes a targeting decision at lightning speed, far faster than human oversight could ever manage. The law simply hasn't caught up to the code. Which leaves us with a critical, urgent question to ponder today. As AI becomes more autonomous, more predictive, and more deeply integrated into both humanitarian aid and the machinery of war, can laws written for the 20th century truly protect children from the rapid, relentless advancement of 21st century technology? It's a question we have to answer, and quickly, because for the thousands of kids caught in the crosshairs today, time is running out. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.